It is Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. The time is 7 o'clock p.m. I call this meeting of Dillon Town Council to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Tyne,
Here.
Luck, Richard,
Here.
Oliver,
Here.
Hendricks,
Here.
Samuel,
Here.
Manscavera.
Here. Next item is approval of the agenda. Are we making any changes to the agenda from what was published?
There are no changes.
Great, thanks. Item 3, approval of the consent agenda, the minutes of regular meeting of November 4, 2025, approval of bill list dated November 14, 2025, and payroll ledger dated November 14, 2025, excused absence for Councilmember Oliver Luck for the November 4, 2025 regular council meeting. Consideration of ordinance number 1125, series of 2025, first reading to set the public hearing of an ordinance of the town of Dillon, Colorado, amending Chapter 4, Article 3 of the Dillon Municipal Code regarding business licensing. 3.5, consideration of resolution number 3825, series of 2025, resolution appointing Collins, Cole, Wynn, and Ulmer PLLC as town attorney, and consideration for resolution number 3925, series of 2025, a resolution adopting the 2026 regular meeting schedule for the town of Dillon, Colorado. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Hendricks,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Oliver,
Yes.
Tyne,
Yes.
Samuel,
Yes.
Manscavera.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Item 4, citizen comments. Citizens are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Council will take comments into consideration, but will not make decisions at this time. Council will not engage in back and forth dialogue, but may respond to a speaker with brief factual information or refer the speaker to the town manager to arrange a meeting with an appropriate staff member for discussion of the speaker's topic at an appropriate time. However, the council has no obligation to engage with the speaker by either of the foregoing methods or at all. I don't have anyone signed in on my sign-in sheet. Is anyone here today to make a public comment? I don't see anyone in the room jumping up, but I do see a hand on the internet. Carrie Dawn. If you could unmute yourself, we'll go ahead and get you available to speak.
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
You could just state your name and address for the record, and then we'll start your 3-minute timer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Carrie Dawn Solner, 120 East Levante. Hello, everyone. Happy November. Again, thank you so much for all the hard work that you do and all the issues that come before you. I read the agendas every week, and you have a lot going on. My comment has to do with the past couple meetings. As you are aware, there was a decision to refer the amphitheater kind of oversight citizen committee to the PRAC, and I attended that meeting, and I don't think they had very good direction from council because A, they seemed confused, and B, I thought the point of referring the amphitheater to the PRAC was to increase the number of members, and distinctly I had it written down from a meeting about 4 meetings ago to include people, to increase the number of committee members for that committee, to very strongly suggested to include someone that lived near the amphitheater that was directly affected by decisions. And when I went to that meeting, they didn't have that direction. They decided to not increase their membership at all, and they seemed very confused about why there was a suggestion to increase it. I apologize about the background noise. I'm at a school event for my son. Anyways, so I just wanted to let you know that they didn't seem to have very good direction. Jessie already confirmed that she's signing contracts for next summer, and I just really wanted to say that now is the time if there's going to be some direction and some common sense parameters put on the shows. You know, the one survey that you've done, which didn't even include just people that lived around it, said that they wanted 2.8 shows per week, and that doesn't mean on average. Like, for example, last summer there was like 8 in a row, and I really felt like I was going crazy. I was like in tears. Furthermore, I've dove into the finances a little more, and I just really beg of you guys to please consider some common sense solutions. When I look at the money, I wonder, you know, are we really being tortured for really not making that much money just to make the loan payments? I mean, it really does feel like torture sometimes. And as I've shared with you all, I'm happy to be tortured like 25 times a year, but 45 times a year is just really a lot and really has affected my family's health. So I just would really suggest now is the time to maybe put this on the agenda for an actual real conversation. And if you were expecting that the PrAC was going to add 2 people that live near the amphitheater, that's not the direction they decided to take because I don't think they had very strong direction from council. So we would really appreciate to have a say in what is such a crazy, crazy nuisance for us and at least finding some common sense solutions. I know there was a recent meeting about
Carry Dawn.
nuisance. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for your comment. Okay, anybody else on the internet to make a comment? Great. Moving on, the next item is the I-70 Coalition update, and we have Jonathan here. Hi.
Oh, good. It's up there. Hi, Madam Mayor, members of council. My name is Jonathan Godis. I'm the executive director of the I-70 Coalition. If you don't know, you guys are members of the I-70 Coalition. I haven't gotten here yet. I got hired in April to replace Margaret Bowes, if you knew Margaret. I just wanted to introduce myself. I want to make myself available for any questions, but first I have a quick presentation. So we are a nonprofit member-driven organization. We have Sorry, am I close enough? We have 28 members. Obviously, you guys are one of them, Silverthorne, Vale. Well, it's up there. We were formed in 2004 as a direct byproduct of the Record of Decision. And that Record of Decision is relative to I-70 from Golden to Glenwood Springs. So anything that happens along the corridor from accessibility, mobility, capacity, we are actively involved in. So whether it is additional lanes, it's climbing lanes, whether it is the, we don't call it Mexel lanes anymore. We don't call them Mountain Express lanes because they're not express lanes, they're shoulder lanes. So peak time shoulder lanes, that's what we're calling them at the request of Clear Creek County. And so anything that happens along this corridor, we want to be involved. We've been involved in everything from legislative efforts to local efforts to try to improve capacity. I don't know who's running that, but it's not me. Okay, there's our current members. You probably have this in front of you. We also have private members. So we also partner with and have members who are part of the ski resorts, different private employers in different counties. So it's not just municipalities and counties. And so the problem, obviously, we have not had a significant expansion of the Eisenhower-Johnson Memorial Tunnels since 1979, and that is obviously a huge choke point. We expect the state to grow by a lot in the next several decades. And certainly with that growth is going to come a lot of additional travel time. We expect there has been a 21% increase in volumes in the last 5 years. You've probably all experienced that yourself. And as I referred to before, the Record of Decision was a process that happened in 2005 that was a result of FHWA, CDOT, and the collaborative effort of which we are a part of. And this plan, it was completed, it started in 2005, it took 6 years to complete. So it's finally written up in 2011. And that's what we base what kind of our North Star on as a nonprofit representing you. So yes, in the Record of Decision is light rail. Yes, it is more capacity, but we know that we're not going to 6-lane our way out of this problem. Induced demand is a real thing. So if we had 8 lanes, we'd be right back in the situation that we have right now. But things that we do have is highway specific improvements, highway improvements. As you've seen, probably Floyd Hill is getting a $900 remake that is scheduled to be completed in 2028. The westbound lanes will be done in 2027, eastbound lanes in 2028. It's going to be pretty impressive. And if you haven't seen, I'm not here to give that update, but it might be of interest to you at some point. Vale Pass is also getting several $100 million of investment as well. And a lot of what drives this is bridges need to be replaced. And while you're spending a couple $100 million to replace a lot of these bridges, you might as well soften up the corners. You might as well make the traveling public. You might as well put climbing lanes and exchanges and exit ramps a little bit more accessible. Funding has always been a challenge, but we've actually made some progress the last couple of years. I know we all look at the doom and gloom, and I can get focused on the negatives as much as anybody. It's part of my job is to focus the legislature and us on what needs to be done. But I'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about what has been done in the last several years. Obviously, the express lanes, the Memorial Tunnel is going to 6 lanes. The larger projects, obviously, we have in front of us, but we've also gotten a lot of funding in the last several years. There's different Senate bills that have gotten us the $3 per rental car fee has been substantial. That's what has allowed a lot of these projects to happen. You know, these fees, we're not able to, obviously Tabor's something that ties all of our hands. And so it's not something that we're able to really overcome. But if we can do rational fees that hopefully contribute to the corridor funding, we're always in support of that. High-speed transit, as I mentioned before, it is technically feasible. We can do this. There is enough engineering marvel in this world that this can happen, but financially it is a difficult challenge that we have not, the CDOT or the federal government has not been able to really overcome yet. We are encouraged by Front Range Passenger Rail. We are encouraged by Mountain Rail and that extension to Steamboat Springs and eventually Craig. Hopefully will be a template to provide us with how this is going to work in the next couple of decades, because that is the vision. That is part of the record of decision to get high-speed rail from Denver to Eagle County Airport. Next slide. Ish. TDM, Transportation Demand Management. You're probably all familiar with trying to get people out of their cars, trying to make things incentivize people both positively and negatively. And that's really one of the silver bullets. That's one of the big pieces of what we're working on, whether it's through rideshare, whether it is through Bustang, which again, that's another success story. We know we have, I think, 8 Bustang trips every day going between Grand Junction and Denver. I've ridden it. I don't know how many of you all have jumped on it. It's a great experience as long as there's spots for you available. And we are working with CDOT on that, and we want to promote and support those efforts. Next slide. We definitely market it to, our primary, somebody asked me recently, who is your customer? And obviously you guys are my customer. You guys pay your dues. Your city manager is my vice chair, so he's one of my bosses. Does a fantastic job. But really our customers, we try to market to the out-of-state visitors and to the commercial vehicles. So, when a commercial vehicle obviously goes down or jackknives, it's not as simple as, pushing it off to the side or putting it in neutral and just coasting it to the shoulder lane. It's a big deal. We know it's a big deal, especially if it's a hazardous material, it shuts down, or if there's, God forbid, a fatality. We're talking about I-70 being shut down for 10, 12, 14 hours or more. And so that's a significant impact. And so really a big focus of what we are advocating for is better correspondence, better partnership with commercial motor carriers to try to eliminate or reduce that as much as possible. One of the things that we have been instrumental on over the last several years, the chain laws, traction laws. They're 2 different things. The commercial chain laws were a different bill than the traction laws, which happened 5 years ago. We have also been instrumental in helping get the express lanes, Mountain Express lanes, and also getting that extended onto the Floyd Hill contemplation. So with the Floyd Hill, we will have express lanes. They'll be tolled. And we'll also have climbing lanes for semis. So those are the kind of things that are really hopefully going to make an impact. We all know the pain points. Well, maybe you don't know the pain points of Glenwood Canyon and Vail Pass, because, if you're commuting to Denver and back, I can tell you, somebody who lives in Glenwood Springs, Glenwood Canyon has been a nightmare. And some of the things that have changed it is making the right lane only for the 13 miles through Glenwood Canyon just for commercial motor carriers. And everybody can point to, well, I mean, just tonight I was driving through and I saw a semi in the left-hand lane, but that's kind of the rarity in Glenwood Canyon anymore. And it is massively cut down on accidents. So I just noticed tonight they have really brand new signage on the pavement in Dowd Junction. So trying to lessen those pain points as much as possible is where we're focusing our efforts. Next slide. Travel forecast. Okay, so we maintain a web page, and part of that web page has a travel forecast. If you've never seen it, it's kind of a cool thing. We have proprietary data from the last 3 years that we can say, okay, on this weekend, over the last 3 years, here's what typically happens. Now, obviously, if there's an accident or a horrible weather event, it's going to skew the data. But by and large, we can say, and it's been this way for the last month, hey, this weekend's going to be great. Last weekend was great. The weekend before, Thanksgiving's going to come up and it's going to have significant impacts. And we can tell the traveling public what those impacts are. Because really what we want to tell the traveling public, whether they're rental cars, whether whoever they are, is, think about coming early, think about leaving late, think about coming up on a Thursday evening. I-70 is not a congestion nightmare. Right now, it's a very easy drive to Denver. It's not going to be tomorrow at 2 o'clock. It's not going to be Thursday at midnight. It's a really rough time, depending on the time of year and the weekend and holidays, obviously, between 10 o'clock on Friday and 10 o'clock on Sunday. And so if we can spread that out, that's one of the things that we are trying to do and advocate for. And one of the ways is a travel forecast to let people know. Next slide. Ride share and parking. These are part of the TDM, Transportation Demand Management strategies. So TreadShare is one of those ride sharing applications. Please check it out. They're doing a great job. Parking, we do not want to, pave paradise and put up parking lots all over our towns to encourage and entice these Front Range visitors to get in their cars. We want parking to be a little bit difficult. We want them to come. We want them to spend their money here in our communities. We want them to support our communities. We wouldn't be here without our visitors, but we don't want to necessarily have every single one of them in single occupancy vehicles. Next. So mountain transit options, I think I talked about Bustang. This is the ads that we help. We work very closely in partnership with Bustang because they don't necessarily know our communities like we know our communities. Same with TreadShare. So we do market quite a bit to our communities on behalf of Bustang and TreadShare. Next slide. Next slide. There's Bustang. Oh, Snowstang, obviously, as I mentioned, the weekends, are when we're really hurting. And Snowstang is great because during the season, it has 2 routes a day. And I think we're looking at trying to expand that to 4 because those routes get full. Obviously the mountain to Winter Park, the Mountain Express, the Winter Park Express has been great. They've tripled their ridership this past winter because they've reduced cost and they've increased service. So who knew, right? The airport shuttles, Pegasus, the Outrider, we are able to get people now from places and communities like Craig and Durango to Denver without having to get in their cars. So how that impacts us in communities where I-70 goes right through our communities. If you can get on in Durango, if you can get on in Grand Junction, Craig, Steamboat, that's one less car that's coming right through our community. Local and regional transit service, we have, we really are strong supporters of things like RAFTA, Core Transit, Summit Stage, and Steamboat just formed a new RTA with the Yampa Valley. So again, if you can't contemplate getting on your car, out of your car, that first last mile, you're not going to be able to get onto Bustang. You're not going to be able to get through our communities without a vehicle. Next. Questions. Okay, there we go. I said I'd keep it to 10 minutes. Did I do it?
Rabbi Joel, did you have a question?
It's cause carrier, but it's dangerous. It's a security problem. Actually, the cell phones, interstate truckers. So if anything can be raised, then this all activity. You can spend 5 minutes on trying to figure out what the traffic situation. Silver Thorn,
I'd, if it's okay, I'd love to answer a few of those questions. One, cell phone coverage, I really can't speak a whole lot to. It might be your carrier. My carrier works pretty well. I have Verizon, but I think that's anecdotal. I think though, to your point, it is important to have cell phone coverage because if an accident happens or a huge delay happens, you need to have a way to look at alternative routes. If nothing else, a way to go to the next exit, turn around and go back and hunker down for the evening. So I don't disagree with that. We have a really good relationship with CDOT. I guess my suggestion would be look at Google Maps and Apple Maps before you make your trip, because a lot of times they will show you if there's congestion, and then double check that. And I find this more applicable is just check the cameras. Go on CDOT's website and just check the cameras. Those cameras are pretty good. Sometimes they're out, sometimes they have snow on them, but by and large, if you're looking at the passes or places of high sensitivity, I would do that. And then your first question was what? State Patrol, yeah. So the question for the audience is State Patrol, where are they? It is, I don't know if you've noticed, but housing is very expensive in the mountain communities. And so it's very expensive for State Patrol to house their patrollers. So that is a challenge for them. It's a challenge for all of our law enforcement locally. In Glenwood, we have people coming from Grand Junction that come up that are on our police force because it is so difficult for we pay in Glenwood Springs $80,000 for people fresh out of the academy, and we still have to have people coming from Rifle, Parachute, and Grand Junction. So I'm not trying to carry water for CSP, and they have a plan where they redeploy state troopers in events, problematic weather, if there's an accident. But yeah, your observation is absolutely correct. There is less state patrollers patrolling our mountain communities. I love that idea. Can I jump in real quick before your second one? So I don't want to forget this one. So we did run your legislation. This is part of, I should have updated the slide with legislation. We did update the legislation. Rental car companies in Denver at DIA right now are required to give everybody the mountain, what is it, dossier. Here's what you need to have. You need to have all-wheel drive. We can't force them to, we haven't yet been able to force them to tell us visitors, hey, I'm going to Vail. Okay, I'm sorry. I know you put in for a two-wheel drive, but you have to have an all-wheel drive. They are only forced to tell people what our chain and traction laws are. And then people can do with that what they will, because it's very difficult in May, for example, when we can see a storm like nothing, or a beautiful November evening like tonight, to tell people landing in Denver who might only be going to Monument or Fort Collins that they have to have all-wheel drive. But I don't disagree.
One of our police officers told me a story that there was a car left abandoned over by City Market, down by the bagel shop, and the people didn't even shut the door. They opened the door and they got out to get into their whatever ride share they called, and were so eager to never see that car again. They left it with the doors open and just abandoned it there because it couldn't drive in the snow.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we do that. And when I say we, I do not work for CDOT. I'm I-70 Coalition. So I want to make that just clear. But Vale PD, Eagle County, and CSP all combined to do chain checks. I saw 2 semis tonight pulled over in Vale. I don't know if it's just a random stop, but they do have weekends, just like DUI checkpoints. They will have just, we're pulling over every single semi and checking. And what they find is they do that occasionally. They do it more eastbound or coming westbound from Vale, but I know that they do that in, yeah, no, and it does happen, but it doesn't have, to your point, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think you're right. I think it needs to happen more often. What they found is that there's about 90% compliance with commercial vehicles or chains, but they don't necessarily reach that with actually having change and knowing how to put them on. I don't know if you've heard the anecdotal stories of somebody in flip-flops and shorts coming in from California or Utah or wherever. They're not going to get out and put chains on, or they don't know how to put chains on. There's a lot of new drivers. And so one of the things that was the legislation, we usually have some legislation every year that we run. And the last year, it's not going to be ready until March because I think just quite honestly, bureaucracy. But one of the big ones was allowing third-party vendors. So allowing just a tire company to go out there and to set up a station and put on, just install. Like if you have chains, I'll put them on for X amount of dollars. If you don't have chains, I will rent you chains and put them on, and then I'll have a compatriot on the other side that will take them off. This has been done in California, Oregon, and Washington. We're kind of late to the party. That's not going to get done until March, but we hope that that's going to increase that compliance. And I will say one of the things that Colorado Municipal League is contemplating running and looking for sponsors right now is allowing municipalities and counties, no, I'm sorry, just municipalities, not counties, that are home rule to install and fine speeders. So speed cameras. I don't know, everybody feels different about speed cameras, but if you have I-70 coming through your community or your communities, it is, especially if you have turns or narrowing, it's goes down to 65 and then I think 55 through Vale. And no one does that. Everybody does 70, 75 through Vale. So I think that's something Vale's going to look at. Glenwood Springs will probably look at that. But that's something that's not authorized right now in current legislation. CDOT is right now piloting Highway 119 between Boulder and Golden. And they've seen a dramatic reduction in speeds. So I think that that's the future. To your point, sir, about the speeds, we do have, the ability now. There is Big Brother, there's AI. People have mixed feelings about that, but it unequivocally does slow people down and it unequivocally does create a safer driving environment.
Council, any other questions or comments for Jonathan? Great. Thanks for being here.
I gotta say, I love how you let the community ask questions of presenters.
We try to be
That's
as
really cool.
easy peasy as we can be around here.
We never let them do that in Glenwood. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Nathan has my number. Please give me a call or reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks.
Thanks for that, Tater.
What's that?
Chief? Yep. Chief, please.
I also do not. Okay. However,
Can we get some of those cameras on Highway 6?
get your pencil up. CDOT.gov/travel/I-70 Mountain is the new package that they just launched. They ran a story on it in the Summit Daily. I-70 specific core, which I think they just launched this week.
Great. Thanks, Chief.
Which includes the cameras.
Great. Perfect. Who- Moving on to item 6, workforce housing partnership opportunity discussion with Habitat for Humanity. Nathan.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Turn this over to Owen Dodd with Habitat for Humanity and with, well, representing Habitat for Humanity.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much, Madam Mayor, council members, administration. Thank you for giving me the time tonight and very appreciative of that. I've been in this role for a year. In that year, I inherited homes that needed to be sold. And these are the homes that we started building in Fair Play. So Summit Habitat has branched out into Park County. We have an 8-build project in Fair Play, the town. The last 2 of those homes are nearly finished. We have sticks up. Everything is going great. In my time, I've been presented with a marketing challenge to kind of change the narrative of what Summit Habitat does and why we're in Park County. And that took a grassroots campaign that I led. And in that time, I've sold 4 homes. I have the 5th one under contract right now. And we are looking to sell the last 2 very soon. So things are going very well. And also in that time, we've revitalized our Brush with Kindness program, as well as a Aging in Place program. So those 2 programs really keep people in their homes. So anecdotally, we recently had a widower with a special needs son here in Dillon that needed her front steps changed, totally revamped. And we were able to do that in a day. And I also was up on a ladder with a chainsaw, trimming her trees, painting her back porch, etc. So my point is, our focus tends to be very Dillon focused at the end of the day. What needs to happen is sell these last 2 homes in Fair Play in order to get the capital to continue and finish a project that we've started probably over 2 years ago, which will happen in Soda Creek, which is Summit Cove. And it's a 3-building project, 5 units. And with the home sales that I'm working on, we will be able to contribute 1.5 million towards a $3 million goal to complete this project. These will be deed restricted. And again, they're 5 units. And I'll let Brandon get into the nitty gritty of the architecture and the site plans, et cetera. But I'm here not in hat in hand because I want to reach out to not only like some partnerships that I've developed in my time in my 1 year. We have a big company coming in that deals in concrete that could reduce our costs. I'm going to reach out to others, Habitat chapters, affiliates in our surrounding area because we have a workforce that travels in and out of our counties, hence why we are in Park County. And then there are other towns that are express their interests. But I believe because we're building in Dillon that this, and we've done all the legwork in Dillon, that this could be a great advantageous project for us all, a community focused project. So we need, another 1.5 to cross this finish line. And I'm not asking for the kit and caboodle tonight, but it would be very helpful if I had support from the town of Dillon to get this across the finish line and put working families into these deed restricted homes. Jonathan brought up, the police force. Our focus, our MO in Park County has been public servants. So I've put a teacher, a Breckenridge police officer, a Vail Resorts snow cat driver, guys that keep our community economy running. And that's exactly what I'm going to do for these homes here. So I'm presenting you with an opportunity and I would love to get this across the finish line. We've done all the legwork, as I've mentioned. All the site plans are here in our presentation. Worked with all the actors that are involved. The Summit County, the BOCC, has expressed interest in contributing to the project after they have already donated the land to us. We are given a timeline of 7 months to essentially break ground. I just need to break ground and get this thing rolling so we can get these homes built and put some good working families of Dillon and the broader Summit County into these homes. So I'm going to let Brandon talk a little bit more about the particulars of the build, and then
Thanks. Good evening. I'm Brandon House. I am actually with the County Housing Department, but I'm also a board member of Summit Habitat for Humanity. I'm going to provide you some perspective from kind of the County Housing Department's perspective. Also, I've been involved in this particular project since the very beginning. I'm also going to turn it over to Lindsay Newman to kind of walk you through the site plan. She is with Norris Design and actually did the site plan for the county. She's also on the Habitat board as well. So just some background on the property. You can see kind of, if you go to the location vicinity map up one slide. Yeah, right there. Perfect. So this project is in Summit Cove. It is 3/4 of an acre. It's right next to the existing Soda Creek condos, which are half deed restricted, half market rate. It's really an ideal location. It's right next to the existing rec path. And so back in 2010, the county actually acquired this property, sat on it for a few years until 2020. The housing plan identified this as a site for workforce housing. In October of 2022, Habitat and the county entered into an MOU requiring Habitat to develop up to 6 residential units. As the site plan went along, it was discovered that 5 really was the best fit for the site. The county is agreeable to transferring ownership of the property to Habitat upon substantial completion of the first unit and executing a deed restriction. The original MOU required Habitat to commence construction by December of 2024. As Owen mentioned, we had some challenges over in the Fair Play project. We really need those funds to sell those units to bring that money to this project. So we've had to request a few extensions from the Board of County Commissioners. They've agreed to that due to those challenges. And but Habitat has also been busy since the original MOU was executed. We have received a rezoning approval from the Board of County Commissioners. We also received a site plan approval from the Planning Commission. And we are hoping we can commence construction here by July of next year. The board has recently given us approval in a work session. It will be on probably the next consent agenda to actually approve officially that MOU. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay, and she's going to walk through the site plan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lindsay Newman with Norris Design and also a board member for Habitat for Humanity. I joined the board back in 2023, kind of towards the end of our planning process for this project. I just was really excited about the things that Habitat's doing for our community and wanted to be a part of that. So I'm excited to be here in front of you tonight. For those of you who aren't super familiar with this site, it's right on Cove Boulevard, right by that corner turn. So to the north is Cove Boulevard. To the south, we have the rec path and the conservation easement and open space bordering also on the east there. And actually, I wanted to just point out, so one thing with this site that's unique is we do have a pretty flat area, previously disturbed. It's been used for staging for road construction in the past. And so we have that flat area up on the top there, and then it kind of slopes down toward the rec path. So I'll show you how the architecture lays out on the site. And just to be, to give you some background, I'm the landscape architect and planner, not an architect, so I can do my best to answer architectural questions, but that's my background. Okay, so what we're proposing on the site is 5 units, duplex style homes. You can see we have 1A and B, 2A and B, and then 3A is actually joined with a storage building. So what we wanted to provide for the residents here is an opportunity to have some storage space. So there's 5 storage units in there that would go to 1 to each unit. We have 2 parking spaces per unit and 5 guest parking spaces. We have that one access point right onto Cove Boulevard there. And wanted to point out on that vicinity map, you could see we're about a quarter mile from a bus stop. So it's pretty well connected in terms of transportation and multimodal access. Of course, we have the rec path to the south of us, which is great. So for a community amenity, we wanted to provide a trail access. And you can see that over on the east side, worked in with the grade there, going down to the rec path so that people can access that. And we have a common trash enclosure for everyone that lives here. So all of the trash will go in there because we didn't have quite this, it's a pretty tight site. We wanted to be really efficient with our space. So we felt that garages maybe weren't going to work the best. However, that's why we have the storage and why we have the trash enclosure so that we could solve some of those challenges. You can go to the next slide. This one's not super exciting. We do provide a required amount of snow storage and consider drainage and how that's going to work. Next slide. Landscaping, we have landscaped the site to provide some buffers to our neighbors at Soda Creek, as well as to the rec path, and generally just using native landscape and low water use wherever we can. We can go to the next slide. This just shows how our drainage will work. Of course, it's going to go down the hill, but we have designed some really nice little rain gardens at each unit so that we can collect that water and help use that to establish our plants. All right, a little bit about the architecture. So as I mentioned, we have the units that have front door access. The front doors are all facing towards Cove Boulevard. So you can walk straight into your home. It's at grade on the front. And then as you head to the south side, it actually steps down. So you'd have a walkout into the open space, which is a really great feature. Another really great thing about the way that these homes are laid out is that we have that rear with where you can see the deck, and then the walkout is facing south. So it's really great for solar orientation and maximizing as much sun as possible, views, really good quality of life for our residents here. And then if you go to the next slide, you can see how the homes would fit on the hillside there and how they would walk out. There'd be that first floor deck that would look out to the south, and then you'd have the walkout below it. And then the last one right here just shows that unit 3 and how that's joined with the storage building. So they would both have their own private entrances. One thing that we like about this and that we've seen a lot in the community is just a lot of desire for homes that have their own 3 walls and roof, and you don't have those upstairs neighbors, you don't have a lot of next door neighbors. So it kind of creates that next level of living for a lot of people up here. From a condo or even a townhouse, trying to get a lot of natural light where possible. The next one, we added in a floor plan. I know it's probably pretty hard to see on here, but the point being that these are all 2.5 bathrooms and 3 bedroom units. So it's equipped to fit a family. And with that, I will turn it back over to Owen to wrap up. And I'm available for questions.
Yeah, so as you can see, it's very family friendly. As I alluded to, would love to keep our police officers, firefighters, first responders, et cetera, in our community. And this is a great opportunity to do so. I think the homes are ideal. We've done all the legwork, as I've mentioned, to get us across the finish line, baseline, $500,000. That's baseline for me. Otherwise, I'm really working very hard to develop other partnerships. We are a small affiliate, yet high impact. And I've proven that with our Brush with Kindness, Aging in Place, and not only the home sales in Park County. So I've proven that I can do the work. So I'm asking the town to give us that assistance to take us across the finish line. I think this will work. I'm confident in it. I'm confident in the partnerships that I've developed, not only in this position that I have today, but in my time at the Keystone Science School, Summit Foundation, and even in my time in political campaigning on Capitol Hill. So I'm very familiar in this world. This will happen. But if you guys can help us get across this finish line just that much, then we can continue to do the other projects after the fact. And that's really what I want to see happen. I want to see sustainability. So I just want to thank you all for your time. And again, my door is always open. I can answer any questions. And I should also mention that my predecessor before my time did conduct a town hall meeting and spoke with the neighborhood, and they were very positive to this. Yes, of course, there was some pushback, as you might experience in any kind of build of this nature. But again, this build is economized. It's very small. It's a very small plot. We've done all the legwork. We're ready to go, ready to hit send on this. So, yeah, thank you for your consideration. Appreciate it. Is there any questions that I can answer now?
Not seeing any.
Okay, thank you
Thanks
for
for
your
being
time.
here, Owen. and
Appreciate it.
Brandon and Lindsay, thank you. Council, any discussion on this, or Nathan, were you thinking about having a work session item on this in the future?
We definitely can have a work session if that's what. We just wanted to keep this presentation and also the I-70 Coalition presentation, since we did commit
Yeah,
to this date to focus on the date.
great. Thanks. Maybe we can wrap this into the upcoming, I think on a future agenda, we have a workforce housing strategies session. And that might be a better way to dive in and talk about what we think is appropriate per unit or whatever.
These are for sale homes, right? How do you qualify? How does somebody qualify?
There'll be an AMI cap. Haven't determined that yet, but yes, typical deed restricted AMI level. It'll be a lottery system. There's some nuance with that. Our powers that be and Habitat International chapter. So you have Habitat International at the very top. Colorado Habitat is our kind of parent chapter, and then us, one of the 11 or so affiliates. And we're one of the most voluminous of affiliates in the country, which is great. So, we have a lot of innovation. So, yeah.
Other follow-up thoughts on that, or?
So on the website, I assume I can look at past projects and other things that have all been based?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, okay.
And please, but we are revamping this website. It needs some help. But yeah, as I've been selling our play, we are trying to add all that content, really promote that. Yeah, just like Park County, Dillon Summit will have, Summit Cove will have that kind of focus. But we do want to make sure that our workforce is being stringent on a controller of homes, so they do not have.
Great. Thank you. Any final thoughts, or are we ready to move on to item 7?
I think it's a great idea. I just learned if we have that kind of money.
So I think it needs to be part of the bigger conversation of sort of what strategies we want to move forward with.
Yeah.
Exactly. Great. Thanks for your comments, everyone. Item 7, consideration of resolution number 4025, series of 2025, resolution making an appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. At the last meeting, we interviewed 2 candidates, and did you ever hear from the third?
We never heard from.
So 2 candidates. Did we do a straw poll in person? I know I was on the computer, but I don't think we did.
We did not do that because we were in work session.
Right. We didn't.
Yeah, that's part of the resolution.
So
If you want to do a straw ballot, we could.
Cool.
Leave that
Any
up to you all. Paper.
discussion, or does anybody want to have discussion, or? Sure.
whoever counts them.
Yeah, sure,
Whoever
Catherine.
counts them.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. That's why we pay you the big bucks, Catherine. Counting. To remind me, we had Diane and what was the man's name? Tim? Nick? Okay, okay. Was this your vote? I thought you were handing me paper. I almost ripped it up in a million pieces. Just provide our own paper. Is that what we're doing?
Oh. These people need paper.
Okay. Do you want to take your vote back and put it on regular paper?
Nope,
or
there's some more paper.
Secret paper?
Yeah, I've got two more.
Do these all be yellow? Everybody write on yellow? Are you writing 3 votes?
No, it's a Z. Thank you.
Did everyone get a yellow piece of paper? We've got 2 more. Here, do you want to write on yellow?
You did yours already? Oh.
You've got 12 votes there, then we've screwed this up.
I kept my other one missing.
Wow, nailed it.
So we have 4 votes for Diane and 2 votes for Nick.
Great. So we will be appointing Diane to to the planning commission. Can you remind me of your 2 last names? Ergo Hicks. Okay.
You have one person who got that right. One person had your full name. Extra points.
Okay. Given that result, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 4025, series of 2025, appointing Diane Perigo Hicks into 3-year term on the planning commission.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Richard,
Yes.
Tyne,
Yes.
Samuel,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Oliver,
Yes.
Square.
Yes. Thank you for volunteering and we look forward to working with you. Yes. Just show up on the first Wednesday of the month. Everyone will know what's going on. Thank you. And then Nathan, would you make sure to also reach out to Nick? Thank you. Item 8, consideration of resolution number 4125, series of 2025, a resolution approving a winter construction waiver for Comcast to complete utility work on their cable system during the winter months.
Good evening,
Dan, hi.
everybody. Yeah, so we have the applicant online, Anthony Akili. He's a construction manager with Comcast. And what they're trying to do, and I'll let him speak in a second here, but what they're trying to do is replace 2 cable boxes. And he can tell you why that's important. But the boxes will get larger so they can put different kinds of cables in there to better serve the community during the winter. So long story short, in our code in section 18, we have a code section that we don't typically allow construction in the town for outside of homes after October 31st, so Halloween, and then we start reissuing permits around April 1st. The main reason for that is just like we don't as a town, we don't want people tearing up our roads during the winter plow season, but also from a private homeowner standpoint, there's also the issue of people maybe doing bad work with frozen ground. So we try to kind of protect people from themselves on some level. So the way the code's written is if the applicant can prove what they call an extraordinary circumstance, then they can approach the town council and you guys would decide if you thought that this construction activity would be okay. And then you can grant them a winter construction waiver. So that's what the resolution is about. So Anthony, are you on the line there?
I am. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Do you want to just explain your project real quick?
Sure. Yeah. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to replace the main fiber node in DL01. That's our fiber node. That's by the Homewood Suites. And then we're trying to add a new fiber node down at the corner of Lake Dillon and La Bonta. And really, I mean, we take full responsibility. We should have had this work done. But just kind of like what we were talking about before with housing and resources and keeping people up in the mountains, it's just been a challenge. And so we try to prioritize, by utilization being how many customers are we trying to solve for. And this is the next one on the list. And we were close, but we didn't quite get there. When we started talking with Dan, building fiber down Lake Dillon Road did not seem efficient at that point. There's a lot of utilities, a lot of projects. So we came up with a new plan. In this one, all we really need to do is replace 2 upright PEDs, which are tall and skinny, with lower, more ventilated PEDs to put fiber nodes in. And really all we need to do is get those PEDs put in. We're hoping to do it later this week if the storm doesn't come in too crazy on Thursday. We know if we get 4 inches of snow, you guys don't want us up there working. But if we could get those PEDs replaced, we could activate the new fiber nodes and create some relief before the winter rush comes in. So that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and then so in accompanying the winter waiver request, the code wants us to place conditions on that. So we typically do with grading permits anyway. But the conditions I chose speak to traffic control device, cones and stuff management, keep them out of a right of way if it's snowing. They can work in the shoulder there in front of Lake Cliff on the Labonte until about 5:30. Then it's dark by then this time of year. I think that's another reason for this. And then there's really not an issue on the Homewood Suites side because it's off in the grass there. No overnight storage or parking is allowed in town right of ways. The contract should not work during large snowstorms. Town staff will designate portions of our parking lots and stuff the way we can to give them some spots to stage some materials if they need to. But it's not going to be a very lengthy project. I think Tony can tell you exactly how long. But and then the other thing is just next spring they would revegetate the right of way, get the grass to grow again. So Tony, did you have anything else to say?
No, I think it's pretty much summed up. I did talk to our business partner today. I told them we were going to be on a meeting tonight. And they expressed that they're already working in the mountains. They wouldn't have to travel up from Denver, and they're hoping to get it all done Thursday if we get approval. If we don't, we completely understand. We just thought we'd give it a shot and try to get this done before winter. So.
Great. Yep. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Tony. Questions or concerns, council?
You just said it was a 1-day project?
That's what Anthony is saying, yeah. So.
Being optimistic, we were talking Thursday and Friday, but when I talked to our partners today, they were hoping to do it in 1 day. That's the hope, but it wouldn't, there's no way it would take more than 2. There's just not that much to it.
Careful what you wish for, Tony.
Appreciate that.
Other questions or?
Go.
Yep, go for it. Yep. Great. I would entertain a motion to approve Resolution 4125 series of 2025.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Councilmember Tyne?
Yes.
Samuel?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes. Richard? Yes. Madam Square?
Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Up next, item 9, review future council agendas. We added on that workforce housing discussion into, or that particular conversation into the workforce housing discussion, but anything else anybody has questions about? It is definitely, Josh has been sitting with us the last several meetings, and it is definitely hard to sort of prioritize conversations. But we are trying to do our best, and hopefully you're seeing things on there that what you want to be talking about and coming up.
Yeah, I had an idea for the financing leverage conversation. It was a group called Topo Finance, and the person I met at the Mountain Towns 2030 was Paul Moinister. And I did email him today to see how we would contact with him and if he would be available to talk to us about leverage. He had some really creative information on how to use debt well. And so I kind of, I'll pass it on to Nathan. If you guys think it's okay. I think he would be, he's very versed in mountain towns and how they can use debt well.
Great.
There was the one other one was also on the housing, the First Light nonprofit, and the person he was the former community development director for Aspen, and he started a new nonprofit for housing. His focus is attainable housing, and his name is Philip Sapino. And I also asked him for information if we can contact him if he's available to present. But I do think he's doing some really creative things, and he knows, once again, about housing in the mountains, and he comes from a planning background. So I just want to know if I could pass those on to Nathan. Does that sound all right?
Yep, pass them on.
Okay. And then the other question I had was the website updates. Thank you for getting the community community forum information up. And I did have a question about of just other website updates. I don't know if it belongs on if it's just a staff thing or if it belongs on a work session. I don't know. But there are like Dura pages, so people can understand Dura better and find the budgets for it. We talked before about the sustainable renewable Dillon. I've had a number of calls from businesses about business incubation, and I don't know I don't think I looked up what we have for economic development. There's not much on there at the moment. So does that belong on a work session, or is that something more staff level?
I think that's more of a staff level thing, but that's good feedback. And I think either, like just right now or in an email, something
Okay.
along the lines of, hey, this would be nice to have on the website, or,
Okay.
yeah.
So it doesn't really need,
I don't think we need really
Okay.
yeah. Unless council wants to have a conversation about that. I think like information not being able to be found on the website is just like, hey, I can't find this on the website. Other people probably want to find it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can just
Yeah.
put that together.
Yeah.
No, I finally figured out Diligent.
We're working on it.
I figured out Diligent Community way better. And, it didn't dawn on me until Ben helped me figure that out. But you can find just about any document you want, but you have to go to the Diligent and skip the main search on the homepage, because Diligent will bring up exactly what you want way faster. So I don't know how to communicate that, but that is a high-speed system, I'll call it. And it can really bring up exactly what you're looking for, where the main search on the website struggles.
I wonder if we could put some
It
just
is a job, right?
information
Isn't a joke.
into like the newsletter that goes out. Hey, if you're looking for community documents, check here on this link or something like that.
Yeah, I think that you're right. We just need to advertise it more, I guess would be the word.
Thanks, Barb. Another thing I'd like to sort of propose for a future agenda list is talking about completion bonds. I was talking to a community member who brought up the idea of completion bonds, which is what Denver does, which is basically an insurance policy that if a developer or whoever doesn't finish their project, the town has coverage. And he said we should be copy and pasting Denver's program and getting it into play as soon as possible. So I think we should have a conversation about that and try to understand if that would help us.
Yeah, I had actually from a couple community members, they were talking about similar to that idea, but also this is a much bigger question. Does the town code protect the town well enough? And that's a broad question, I understand, but
I guess my follow-up question would be in which way?
in development. I know.
I defer that to the town attorney.
Maybe we could have a topic that's something like how the code protects the town and what we could make stronger, like have completion bonds.
Well, no, they were talking about all sorts of pieces
And-
and parts.
And
Yeah.
other pieces of.
Yeah.
I think that's something, I mean, I think we are always concerned about that. Is the town protected in this deal? And it'd be good to have a conversation, even just say, rest assured, you are protected in most situations or whatever it is.
Just so we're clear on what you're asking about, we're talking about, I would call them payment and performance bonds, but completion bonds on really public infrastructure, not on private builds.
Not on private?
I guess I'm asking what.
Oh, I think it should be
your-
on private builds. Right?
I think we should talk about that.
I think so.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we should talk about
We,
that.
we can talk about that.
Maybe
but-
we need clarity,
Yeah, exactly.
because the community thinks we have way more power, I think, over private than we do. And maybe we just need to clarify all that.
Yeah, I mean, there are challenges in, there are logistical challenges for one in getting bonds on private infrastructure because insurance companies just won't do it. Like the bond companies won't do it. So we can require them, but people can't fulfill them. Again, I'm still getting introduced to your code, but from what we've worked on, I do believe that we have protections in there for the town for public infrastructure. Infrastructure like water and sewer lines and sidewalks and roads that if somebody just up and walks out in the middle of a project, we can pull. And I think, Dan, we've had some conversations about actually how to change that language.
Yes. And, yeah, we can have that discussion. I sent an email. But I think that's the big confusion and I think Doug, Catherine's partner, actually knows about the city of Denver completion bonds, but in most cases, municipalities try to protect themselves from a developer tearing up a road next to the project, never putting it back. So in the case of Waterview, formerly Uptown 240, when they get their building permit in order to start construction, they're required to put up an improvement guarantee. And we'll talk about this later, but it comes in three basic forms. It can be a bond from a company, it can be a letter of credit, or it can be cash. We prefer cash because if we hold it, we can use it. Letter of credit's fine, but what a developer has to do for a letter of credit, they basically take their $100,000, they give it to the bank charges them a fee, the bank writes us a letter, and then if we want to get the money, we have to ask the bank for the money. Then they get, and they expire. So if you're not on top of it, And, you know, sometimes they go away and they don't call you and say it's going to expire
And
tomorrow.
a
So
bond is even worse.
a bond is
It's even
worse.
sense.
I had one construction project in Louisville. It was a huge drainage project. You know, we put in a mile of pipe and it went south and it went to the bonding thing. So this kid that ran this construction company got a bond rating from his dad, who was an experienced bond thing. And this kid was a mess and he messed it all up. So we called the bonding company. They were, you know, 3 months behind schedule. And the first thing the bonding company shows up and they say, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not going to pay liquidated damages. And so they really, and so the father had to come in and get all his, fire their son essentially, put him in rehab. He had a substance abuse problem. And then he made all the workers do all the work and they got it done. But so bonding companies, it sounds like a great thing, but in reality, you know, you're looking at cents on the dollar, you know, they're just not going to show up with a pile of cash. It's like, oh, this is great. They fight you on everything. So it's like insurance on some level. So you just, you know, I think the expectation of that working is it's not as rosy as you think. So, and so they need to deal with this private and public issue because definitely everything in the public right away, we can require them to do an improvement guarantee. We do. But in the private property piece, I don't understand that. So Doug seemed to understand that more.
Yeah.
But that's the long and short of it. So again, in a lot of projects, we take cash, like in Vail Health, Cell Loss, because they don't want to pay the fee to the bank for them just to hold money because it's money out of their pocket. So might as well just give it to the town. We, you know, as a municipality, we're obligated to give it back. I think there's always that discussion when that we have to pay interest on it, but with interest rates so low, it's a very tiny amount. So anyway, that's all I had to say. So.
So we can bring it, I mean, we can come back with what Denver has and we can show you what you have in your code and we can talk about the, you know, difference between the private and public. But I was just more asking for like my clarification of what you were talking about so that we address the right thing.
Well, I do think community members want to understand this whole concept of build by right. Did I get that? Did I always say that wrong? The build by
Yeah.
use by right, excuse me. The use by right. And the community, I think, would like to know more what that is and how our code protects us.
Yeah, and your code doesn't have that language in there, I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's like use by right is like a non-term, right? Like what we're talking about is zoning.
Yes.
Are you allowed to do this in the zoning? And so it all comes back to, is this allowed in the zone district? Is it a special use? Is it a conditional use? Is it a grandfathered use? But that's when people talk about use by right, they just mean this property is zoned. I want to build a house and this property is zoned single family residential. I mean, that's
And like
kind of-
meets the setbacks and the height requirements. And as long as they're within the zoning code, it's a use by right.
I think the issue is coming up with the sliding scale on density. So you can build X to X per acre, I think it is. And I don't have it in front of me. So I apologize for that, but that's where the questions are kind of coming as when there's these sliding things that you can make choices on. Who is making those choices? Is it P and Z and town council? Is it just the group that's called the Dillon? Yes, Dillon, the DDC, Dillon Development Committee. You know, where are the pieces and parts?
Yeah, and the answer to that probably lies in what we're specifically looking at approving, right? Because you have different levels of development reviews, you have different processes. And so we really can't provide like well, this is a one-stop shop of where that goes. It would, I mean, we could, I guess, break it down but if there are specific about specific projects or a type of project, that would be a little bit easier to narrow down an answer.
Okay, I can get some clarification then.
Okay.
Anything else? We'll move on to reports. The mayor's update. I'll just say thanks for everyone's continued engagement and have a great Thanksgiving next week. Council member comments? Or reports? Town managers report. Nathan, did you have any comments to add?
Yes, a couple comments outside of the written report. We did get our latest sales tax numbers. So September 2025 sales tax is currently up compared to September 2020 for 18% or 158,000. Year to date, we are down approximately 31,000 compared to 20. But keep in mind that when we compare this to our 2025 budget, we're down 100,000. However, things are looking up, so things are getting better in terms of sales tax. The other thing I wanted to report to you all on is that we've narrowed down the holiday party. We're trying to finalize that for December 12th at Savour Mazatlan. And that was based off of the survey results that we got from our. So more information coming on that. And that's all I have. I'll take any questions if you have.
I had one question on how is the remote HR working out? And this comes from, I happen to have a conversation with some friends that are using the remote HR and other organizations, and they are flagging some issues with it, and I just want to know how we're doing, and I can tell you what their concerns were that I thought were interesting from these 3 other organizations. But
That'd be great if you could share the concern.
so the concerns that were coming off of the other organizations that have used it, I think longer than we have, employees are saying there's no one to talk to. It takes a long time to get a response. The remote HR greatly affects the satisfaction of the employees. Employees are stressed because they can't get answers on health insurance and the deadline is approaching. Is our deadline passed or is that still coming?
Ours has passed and we
Oh, okay.
had 100% response rate.
Okay, good. So there you go. There's no gray area. So if you can't use the remote HR as a sounding board for possible issues, like you're not sure if it's an issue or it's not an issue. And if you call for help, then it's too much on the record and it might not need to be. These people also use remote paycheck. I don't know if we do that. So paycheck issues, can't get an answer. No, these are other organizations. I just want to know if we are having any of them. No, it's different companies. So I just want to know if we're seeing similar things, if it's working out for us, how.
We haven't seen those issues. It's actually
Okay.
been very helpful to have a third party review. Like we're going through our personnel handbook. We developed personnel action forms which are very much needed. And looking at our different processes and policies. We've also had a contract with a company called Gallagher that assisted us with the open, which went really well. This year, we actually provided several different options, which were really well received from our employees from years past. So far, I haven't heard of any issues.
Okay. I just wanted to know if employees were giving you feedback on it, kind of thing.
No, but we always welcome feedback.
Maybe there's an opportunity in the employee survey that you start to talk about to add something about how's the HR program working.
Yeah, and that we're working on that employee survey, which should go out later this year with that company. I think that is going to be beneficial. So it is unbiased and it's a third party that's going to give you recommendations as to what to do with that data.
Great. Anything else for Nathan? We'll move on to item 11, Finance Director's 2025 reports. Mary Kay.
Thanks, Madam Mayor and Council. Yeah, so this format is pretty standard. We've had this quarterly format for quite a while now, which has actual to budget comparisons, year-over-year expenditure comparisons, cash and investments outline, sales tax data. So we've been preparing this quarterly. Now we're going to move to monthly, which is going to be starting with October, and we are going to be on a 2-month lag based on closing process, and so we'll have actual sales tax data presented quarterly, but monthly financial data presented, to you each month per the code, per the financial policy. And I just wanted to also add that I did present several months back our Housing 5A and Dura bond capacity. And I'm also looking into the streets bonding capacity as well. So that can be part of the debt and leverage discussion, because obviously we are constrained by future revenue streams and the current debt service that we have. So I just wanted to point that out. So on December 2nd, just to give you, an outline, we're going to, be approving, or you all will be approving the budget and certifying the mill levy. And we will also be approving, or it'll be the first reading for the supplementals, the final supplementals for the budget for 2025. And then December 16th, we will have October financials and Q2 or Q3 financials. So we will start monthly with October, roughly the same format, except not all the sales tax data. That will be more on a quarterly basis. And I'm certainly open to any questions.
Questions for Mary Kay?
Yeah, I do. I have a few concerns.
Hmm.
So, thank you, first of all, for getting them out to us. I think that's really helpful, and it's helpful when we're evaluating the budget. There's a couple, I don't know, once again, I'm more willing to meet with you to talk about some of these concerns, but one of the big ones is, there was when I pulled up the Q4 report for 2024 that you did in January of 2025, because I just was trying to familiarize myself with the whole system. And but when you the Q1 report, quarter one report, there is a difference of the beginning cash balance actually went up by $263,000. So something was corrected or changed, but there was no note. So from Q4, the balance didn't match the audit, and it was off by $263,000 dollars. And the investment breakout is also off by that. But then in Q1, it looks like you fixed it, and I just wanted to know what happened or how there's a note that should be in there.
Yeah, and I think that was related to the Marina Fund and moving the debt to capital. So I think it was related to that, but I can look into that for you.
Okay, that'd be great. And
Mhm.
so these are kind of questions for Mary Kay to back.
Yeah, and there's always an answer. It's just a matter of like,
Exactly.
how quickly can you answer it?
Yeah, and so, and I didn't really formulate these questions till late today, so you're gonna have to bear with me on that. So, then in quarter two, there's a $10,000 error in the general fund, which also changes the ending cash balance and the investment breakout. And, it looks like some sort of addition error, and I'm just confused as to why the two reports aren't catching the errors between the cash balance and the investment breakout. You'd think it would somehow flag it, but there's an error in that one.
So you were looking at Q4 and
This one was
Q1.
Q1's missing the note. Q4 has a different ending cash balance, so Q1 needs a note as to why it changed. And that's a significant number. And then Q2, it's just an addition error, but it's just odd, is what I'm saying. So I'm not sure why it's.
I'm sure there's an explanation for it.
Yeah. So might be a formula, something like that. And then going forward, are you planning to put the Marina Fund combined with the general, since it's no longer an enterprise?
We are breaking it out.
Yeah.
I mean, the
old
accounts
form did.
are broken out on the Q4, on the quarterly reports and the monthly reports going forward. So you will be able to, view the Marina as separate, even though it is part of the general fund.
Yeah, it's no longer an enterprise fund. Okay.
Yes.
And then I had a couple other questions what's the difference between pay scale increases and budgeted raises? Because that's mentioned several times.
I would say there's no difference. We would budget for, cost of living increases or pay scale, like for example, for the police department, they have a STEP program. So we would budget for those pay scale increases for the STEP program.
Okay, so, because it does make, it makes some significant jumps. So I didn't know if like pay scale increases, how are they, when do you put them in place and and then like raises, when do they happen?
Yeah, we have January 1 increases, and those are more cost of living increases across the
Okay.
board. And then we have, like I said, certain departments, like the police department has a STEP plan, which is based on years of service. There will be a set increase based on each year of service.
Okay, so and that's the main department, the others don't have the
Yes.
same thing, okay.
We try to look at pay scales. I think we're trying to formalize that a bit more. We try to look at our neighbors and what, the pay scales are in our neighboring towns so that we remain competitive.
No, yeah, I've seen you
Mhm.
present those before, I think.
Yeah.
And then how is the investing done? I was just curious about how you guys do the investing.
Yeah, so we are obviously focused on safety first, liquidity and yield, probably in that order.
Okay.
We have to make sure that we're FDIC insured and that we're investing with, in safe, AAA, per our policy. And we do have an investment advisor who does, provide guidance on investment vehicles that are adhere to our policy and that are safe and will provide us the yield that we're looking for. We're obviously chasing yield, but we're also trying to maintain safety for the town's funds.
I was just really curious about that. So
Yeah.
then the other things, there's just a couple odd formatting stuff. And if council's okay with that, can I just talk to you and Nathan directly about
Sure,
okay. So,
sure. We're
there's just
open
some-
to formatting,
yeah, it's more of a
recommendations.
funky,
and we're going to be
there's some-
building those in. We're still building those into the budget.
yeah. And
Your
that's what-
formatting recommendations.
Right, and this form, which I'm sure is old, this form has some weird headings and stuff too. So,
Yep,
okay.
absolutely. Please pass those on. We
Yeah,
can get
so if you
those.
guys are all okay with that, yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Next item is adjournment. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The meeting's adjourned at 8:27. 8:27. Thanks, everyone.